Hello? Well, I hope this finds you well. There we are. How's everyone tonight? Let's see. I'm just going to make sure that we're showing up and we can start our time together in faith. Looks like we're there. Let's see, I'm going to do one more check. Well, I think you're there, but I'm looking for the chat box. Give me 1 second. I know, Lane's a lot better at this than I am. Getting everything kind of going right as it's supposed to go. There we go. I just found it. All right, well, thanks for waiting for me. Welcome to Together in Faith, and it's good to be with you tonight. We're going to hang out and chat for a little bit, and would love to see if you're there watching online. Feel free to say hello in the chat. And oh, hey, Colin and Harriet, hi, good to see you. Well, I'm sure some more of you will chat, so I'm just going to start off with a little tune that's been on my head. This is actually, I think it has to do with our theme, and it's 686 in our ELW hymnal. This is, "We Give Thee But Thine Own." We give Thee but Thine own, whate'er the gift may be. All that we have is Thine alone, a trust, O Lord, from Thee. May we Thy bounties thus, as stewards true, receive, and gladly as Thou blessest us, to Thee our first fruits give. The captive to release, to God the lost to bring, and teach the way of life and peace. It is a Christ-like thing. And we believe Thy word, though dim our faith may be. Whate'er we do for Thine, O Lord, we do it unto Thee. Good evening. Good to see you, Irene. And of course, again, Colin and Harriet, and anyone else who wants to stop on and say hi. It's good to be with you tonight. We're going to have a little conversation about a taboo subject. Let's see, I'm going to put this down for a moment, but it might come back later. This won't be like the Song-orama. Because I'm probably not ready to take requests, but boy, for Together in Faith, this servant to all conversation is something we're doing over this month. And I've been thinking about it throughout the day, and really before today too. And I want to base it in a text from 2 Corinthians, which is a book that I don't often go to, but it came to mind today because of a book that a friend gave me. And so I want to just reference that right away at the beginning. And so there's this line in 2 Corinthians, you will be enriched in every way for your great generosity. You will be enriched in every way for your great generosity. And that's 2 Corinthians 9:11. Hey, Alice. Good to see you. Well, a second time, because Alice and I got to hang out this morning too, which I'm glad you said hi, Alice. There's this book that we've been reading as a community together. It's I Can Do No Other by Anna Madsen. And I was thinking about that because we were discussing it today around a table, and Alice was there. And there's this lovely quote in Anna Madsen's book from Cynthia Mo-Labetta, and she's referencing Luther here. And I think this gets into our topic about servant to all a bit. And here's the quote. If you actually have this book, it's on page 51. Luther's understanding of justification is transformative. Justified sinners gradually are changed, individually, but only in community. Only in community are we changed by the gratuitous righteousness of Christ. So that has, to me, a connection to our theme tonight of servant to all, and this connection to 2 Corinthians, that our generosity will be kind of multiplied, in that it only happens in community, and the gratuitous righteousness of Christ. It's about kind of growing and about being changed. And so I want to, now that I've shared that quote, I want to talk about this idea of, being changed. It's hard. It's hard to be changed. But hey, sorry, now I'm seeing who's saying hi. John Roth, hi. Good to see you. I'm actually playing guitar tonight. For those of you who don't know John, he's down in Houston, and so it's good to have some Southerners down there, although it was in the 60s today here in Sioux Falls. And Prue, hi, good to see you. And so I was thinking about this book even before I got a gift in the mail today. So I got a gift in the mail from my friend who gave me this book. He sent me the little rubber feet for my laptop, because when I went and visited him a couple months ago, my laptop was missing some of its rubber feet, and it just so happened that I was reading this book that he had given me, preparing for our conversation tonight, and then I got a letter in the mail from him with extra rubber feet for my laptop, and so let me read again that quote from 2 Corinthians. You will be enriched in every way for your great generosity. And so my friend gave me this book. He gives it to lots of people. I think he buys them in bulk. And I want to read a little bit out of it because I think it does have to do with our, stewardship and that taboo subject of money. So let me go ahead and start reading a little bit from Henry Nouwen here. Jesus is clear that if we make the kingdom our first priority, all these other things will be given to you as well. That's Matthew 6:33. The kingdom is where God provides for all that we need. It is the realm of sufficiency where we are no longer pulled here and there by anxiety about having enough. So do not worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will take care of itself. That's Matthew 6:34. Jesus also compares the kingdom to a mustard seed, in which this time of its sowing, the smallest of all the seeds on earth, yet once it is sown, it grows to the biggest shrub of them all. So, where love grows, it is stronger than death. So when we give ourselves to planting and nurturing love here on earth, our efforts will reach out beyond our own chronological existence. All right, let's get to the taboo stuff. So, we will never be able to ask for money if we do not know how we ourselves relate to money. I want to share a story with you about that. I think it's really been formative for me. As some of you know, I spent the last 20 years before going to seminary in 2016 being a traveling musician. And my first job out of college, I was a church music director in suburban Chicago, and worked there. And then in 1999, I transitioned out of that and decided I was just going to make music. And there were months in those 20 years where I had more than enough. And there were months in those 20 years where I didn't know what would come next or how it would come to me. Because every job was pretty much a one-day job. There were, some week-long jobs, but that was pretty much it. And, in those 20 years, I never once went hungry. I never once was without shelter. And it taught me to trust. And it wasn't easy. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it was easy. But it did teach me to trust. And it gave me a relationship to money that is maybe a little bit different and comfortable. And so when Henry Nouwen here says, we will never be able to ask for money if we do not know how we ourselves relate to it, he goes on by saying this this really lovely thing. It's a challenging thing too. Money and power go together. There is also a real relationship between power and a sense of self-worth. Do we ever use money to control people or events? In other words, do we use our money to make things happen the way we want them to happen? Do we ever use money simply to give others the freedom to do what they want to do? How do we feel when people ask us for money? See, money has something to do with the intimate place in our heart where we need security. And we do not want to reveal our need or give away our security to someone who maybe only accidentally might betray us. Many voices around and within us warn us of the danger of dependence. We fear being dependent on others because of the idea that dependence is a threat to our security. A friend once told me how often his father would say, "Son, be sure you don't become dependent on anybody. Be sure you do not have to beg for what you need. Be sure that you always have enough money so that you can have your own house, your own things, and your own people to help you. As long as you have some money in the bank, nothing bad can really happen to you." The pressure in our culture to secure our own future and to control our lives as much as possible does not find support in the Bible. Jesus knows our need for security. He is concerned that because security is such a deep human need, we do not misplace our trust in things or people that cannot offer us real security. Do not store up treasures for yourselves on earth where moth and woodworm destroy and thieves can break in and steal. But store up treasures for yourselves in heaven, where neither moth nor woodworm destroys them, and thieves cannot break in and steal. For wherever your treasure is, there will your heart be too. Matthew 6:19-21. We cannot find security if our heart is divided. And so I was reading all of this and thinking about you and thinking about this idea of stewardship and how I came to a point where I feel comfortable, even as this new pastor in your community, to ask you about money or to even raise the conversation. And because that's just it. It's a conversation. This isn't about transaction. That's not what faith is about. But it is about a relationship. And if we're going to be honest, money can oftentimes get in the way of those generous relationships. And yet, the writer there of 2 Corinthians says that generosity will be given back whenever we are generous. And so let me read one more piece here that I think really gets to the point. And that this again is from Henry Nouwen. The point of view of the gospel says to people, I will take and invest in this vision. I'll receive what you have, invest in this vision, only if it is good for your spiritual journey, only if it is good for your spiritual health. In other words, we are calling us all to an experience of conversion. You won't become poorer, you will become richer by giving. We can confidently declare with the Apostle Paul, you will be enriched in every way for your great generosity. And so the connection I guess I want to make tonight for us tonight is a connection of an ongoing conversation. That it's not just this little 30 minutes here on Facebook Live or YouTube, whenever you see this video, but that I'm inviting a conversation, as is Pastor Lane, about what is the spiritual health that comes from this community of Eastside Lutheran Church? What's the spiritual journey that you're on? And how can the gifts that you have be invested in that spiritual health? Because it's not about transaction. It's about growing in a community. Like that opening quote from Anna Madson's book. That's actually how we see Christ in community. So, wow. Hey, Reen and Peggy and Lloyd. Good to see you. That's really what I wanted to share. And I hope that you hear it, and I hope it leads to conversation. I genuinely do. I hope it means that a couple of you who are watching this video now, or if you watch it later, that it leads to a conversation between us, or between Pastor Lane, or even in your own family about, well, what is my relationship to money? And how might I make that, of use to a community in which we see Christ? I want to share a song with you. I don't think I've ever played this live in a really long time. So, like I said, back in 1999, I quit my job. This was before Amy, my wife, and I were even dating, and moved back to Minneapolis from Chicago, and recorded a little solo album of songs that I was working on. I think maybe there's only 200 copies out there at one point in time. Some of them are probably long gone by now, since this is over 20 years ago. Hey, there's a jet passing overhead, in case you hear that. But many years later, Amy and I were actually playing at a congregation in Spearfish, South Dakota, and somebody had one of those 200 copies of that album. And the fruits of me kind of sitting down in what was, at the time I moved into, I rented a house with my younger brother, and we were living at this house in North St. Paul, and there was a kind of a pantry in this old house, and that became my recording studio. And so I remember very clearly sitting in this little pantry and recording these songs. And so I want to share one of them with you right now, because I think it's also a stewardship song. The words are not mine. The words are Charles Wesley's. And this is in some of, this hymn made it into some of our Lutheran hymnals of yesteryear. I don't think it's actually in the ELW, but the words are Charles Wesley and the melody is mine, from 1999. So written when I was 25. This is called "Forth in Your Name, O Lord I Go." O Lord I Go, words by Charles Wesley in my melody. Forth in your name, O Lord, I go, my daily labor to pursue. You, only you, resolve to know, in all I think or speak or do. In all I think or speak or do. The task your wisdom has assigned, oh, let me cheerfully fulfill. In all your works your presence find, and prove your good and perfect will. And prove your good and perfect will. May I find at my right hand, whose I see truly what I do, and labor on at your command, and offer all my works to you, and offer all my works to you. To bear your easy yoke, and every moment watch and pray, and still to things eternal look, and hasten to your glorious day, and hasten to your glorious day. I joyously employ whatever you in grace have given. I run my course with even joy. I closely walk with you to heaven. I closely walk with you to heaven. Closely walk with you to heaven. Well, thanks for joining me in this little reflection. I know it wasn't as conversational as maybe some others, but glad you were here all the same. And I hope that it does lead to conversation. I hope you'll reach out to us as you consider how to be a steward of the gifts that God has given you, including those financial gifts that God has blessed you with from your work, and that it may be of joy. So we'll end again with that 2 Corinthians quote, and then we'll pray our Luther's evening prayer, so that we can confidently declare with the Apostle Paul, you will be enriched in every way for your great generosity. 2 Corinthians 9:11. And thanks to Dennis for this book. and the great friendship that sends me little padded feet for my laptop that was missing them. Well, everyone, let's close in our evening prayer, Luther's evening prayer. Here it is. I give thanks to you, my heavenly Father, through Jesus Christ, your dear Son, that you have graciously protected me today, and I ask you to forgive me all my sins, where I have done wrong, and graciously to protect me tonight. For into your hands I commend myself, my body, my soul, and all that is mine. Let your holy angel be with me, so that the wicked foe may have no power over me. Amen. Thanks, folks. Looking forward to the next time we get together. Hopefully it will be soon, and maybe even this next Sunday.